Welcome to the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. We are focusing on touchdowns ahead of the Sunday slate of NFL action. We've already got a Thursday night football video. That has probably been and gone when you're watching this. You can go back, check how we did on Thursday night football. Not too bad last week for the Sunday games. But my name's Luke Elder. As always, I'm alongside my good friend, Tom Collins. Excited for week 3. It feels like we're fully into the NFL season now.
Yeah, we're properly stuck in. We get football basically 4 times a week. I know it's only 3 technically with Thursday, Sunday, and then Monday. But, you know, you've got that late game on Sunday. It just feels like another window. We're properly in the season. The fantasy leagues are in the thick of it in terms of injuries, and everything becomes pretty tough and hard to really sort out. But I'm really enjoying it so far. And hopefully this week we can provide a few more winners. We've been consistent so far by producing a number of winners, but we've also had a number of losers. So we need to get that strike rate up to around 75%.
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for. We're paddling, we're doing fine. Let's go swim with the sharks. Let's go a bit bigger this time. Who have you got in fantasy football this week?
I've got yourself, and I'm not looking forward to it.
I mean, Tom's team is beaten up. We'll say that.
It's rough right now.
Tom's team, I'll just read it out quickly. CJ Stroud, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams is a 14-team league. James Cook, Raheem Mostert. That might not be a player. Cole Kmet, Christian Watson, Jameson Williams, and then the Chiefs defense. On his bench, he's got Njoku is out. Ricky Pearsall, who got shot. He's got Isaiah Pacheco as well, who... I mean, he's disappeared from your roster. I hope he's on your IR spot.
He's on IR, yeah. He's out for 8 weeks.
Okay. But I'm not
You're pretty healthy.
Yeah.
I don't know. You've got the luck there. You'll probably beat me this week, but I'll get revenge later in the year.
Yeah. But that's this week. I don't want to go overboard because whenever you're too cocky about something, it never happens in fantasy football. It's like we'll go out and I'll get like Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry will just be absolutely crushed in the first play of the game. We're like, right, well, that's my season done. So I wish you the very best of luck, Tom.
And you. I think you'll probably win. I'm going to give you the moral victory anyway at this stage. But if I do somehow produce the underdog story, then next week in the podcast, everyone will hear about it.
Yeah, I hope you do well. And you're really handsome. So, good job. Let's get into one of our newer segments. Let's get into What on Earth. Tom, I'll let you do What on Earth first. What's your What on Earth moment from the last week?
Yeah, I could have had several in this category, to be honest. The Bears O-line, which is arguably the worst O-line I've ever seen. The Broncos receivers being better at actually dropping the ball than catching it. But what on earth is wrong with Amari Cooper? Where has this guy gone? I mean, when he entered the league for Dallas, he was one of the best receivers in the league. He was a beast for a number of years. Then he moved to Cleveland. Okay, that was a negative switch in terms of offenses. But in that first year with Cleveland, he was wide receiver 10. In fantasy over the first year. Like, he had a good season. Last year, he was okay. He had a few good games and some absolutely terrible ones. This year, 2 games so far from Amari Cooper. He may well has not been on the field. He's caught 5 passes for 25 yards. 17 targets. That equals 12 passes that he's not caught. He dropped a touchdown, a clear touchdown in week 1, where he was wide open and was literally a walk-in touchdown, dropped it. Week 2, could have got a first down on a crucial 3rd down and 15 play, dropped it. This guy, he's either lost focus or he's just not the same player anymore. If you've got Amari Cooper in fantasy, put him on your bench. This guy is not playing properly. I don't like him at all at the moment, Luke. And to be honest, that whole Cleveland offense just stinks.
It is Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper does do this. I feel like I'm like Adam Rank with like a chill, bruh. He is Amari Cooper. He does this every single year. One thing to pinpoint, who drafted Amari Cooper?
I don't know. Who did?
Well, you said he entered the league with Dallas.
Oh, well, he was with Dallas, obviously, for a long period of time, you see.
Who drafted him?
Why are you testing me?
Oakland.
Yeah, well, Oakland aren't a team anymore, you see, so just, don't
Doesn't
think
count
about
it, right, okay. What on earth? Tom Collins.
Oh.
Not an NFL player. This guy sat right next to me. In the last week, his fantasy football team has fallen to pieces. David Njoku, part of that Cleveland offense, is now injured. He won't be playing against me in fantasy football this week. So Tom Collins did the big boy thing. I'm going to go out and get my tight end. He went out and got Cole Kmet. That's fine. I'm okay with that. We play in a fab league, so you get $100 for the whole season. You spend your money. If you get your guy, you get your guy. If you don't, someone's bid higher than you. He bid $3 on Cole Kmet, which is fine. No one else would have wanted Cole Kmet. He then bids $8 on Cole Kmet, which is a bit higher. Fine, way too high because no one else would have wanted him. He might not even be tight end one for the Chicago Bears. Except he didn't bid $3 and he didn't bid $8. What Tom Collins did is he bid $38 and he paid 38% of his fab budget for the entire season on Cole Kmet. What on earth, Tom Collins?
No, that's absolutely fair. I completely take this one. Everything you've said there is correct. I do disagree. I do think he is tight end one. I think he proved that last week with Gerald Everett stinking the place out. However, the whole budget thing was a complete nightmare. If anyone has fantasy football and plays this on a regular basis, I hope you do it on Sleeper or at worst case scenario NFL.com, because we play this Dynasty League. Well, it's not Dynasty, it's a redraft league, sorry, on Yahoo. Now, I'd made this bid at around 7 a.m. My son woke up early. He was going off to nursery. And I thought, I'll have a quick look because, we've got to make transactions this today for free agents. So I bid the $3. Then I quickly looked at my team, saw that Njoku was actually listed as out. I thought, okay, I'm going to make sure this is safe by going with $8. That's very fair. Over the course of the season, you probably don't end up spending the 100 anyway. Because the box is so small and I was half asleep, $38 have gone. It was a disaster. Cole Kmet got about 2.7 points last week. Look, I'm not proud of it, but it did happen.
Can you say what on earth, Tom Collins?
What on earth, Tom Collins?
There we go. I'm glad we can air out the laundry. But now Cole Kmet is booked for 3 touchdowns against me this week. He is going to go off and he's going to beat me in fantasy football. But let's get into our picks for week 3 of the NFL. If you haven't subscribed to us already, do subscribe down below. Leave a comment with your best picks for the Sunday games. But we will start off with the early kickoffs. How many have you got this week, Tom?
I have 3 in the early kickoffs.
3 in the early kicker. Wow, you're going.
Well, 3 in the first and second slates, before prime time.
Right, okay. So, not quite the early kickoffs. Give me your first one for the earlies.
Sure. The first bet is going to come in the Texans and Vikings game. I do hope that is a 6 p.m. kickoff. And it is the over. Over 46 total points. That's currently 10 to 11 with most UK firms. That line could change by the time you're watching, but over 46 points at 10 to 11 is currently on offer. These 2 offenses are just firing right now. The Texans are super dynamic. We knew that coming into the year, and they were my sleeper pick for the Super Bowl. So that's not surprising. CJ Stroud is playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Joe Mixon's been very good throughout the year. He might be out this week or likely to be out this week, but Cam Akers will probably pick up the pieces. He looked okay as a backup last week. Obviously, they've got Nico Collins. They've got Stephon Diggs. They've got Dalton Schultz, who's a decent tight end. And Tank Dell, if they decide to actually throw the ball to him. So their offense, they're a proven quantity. We know what we're going to expect from them, and that is a lot of points. Now, the Vikings, I wasn't very high on coming into the season. I didn't think they would perform as well as they have done in recent years. But Sam Darnold seems to get this offense going as well. They've produced 2 victories so far, one probably expected against the Giants and one unexpected against the 49ers last week. We'll touch on that in a second because I know you were at that game. You weren't at the game, but you were at a fan rally. This game is in the US Bank Stadium, so it's at home for Minnesota. That's a big positive for Sam Darnold and the offense there. I think this game is going to end up something like 28-24, which would clearly hit the over. I anticipate quite a lot of points on both sides of the ball, especially from Houston. So I'm very, very happy to take over 46 total points here. And just talking about the Vikings, how was the atmosphere at that San Francisco 49ers rally you were at last week?
Beautiful. It was wonderful. To watch San Francisco get beat by Minnesota, the Sam Darnold-led Minnesota, while surrounded by San Francisco fans, just one of the happier moments that I've had in life. They were all lovely people. They were all lovely people. I will say that. The San Francisco fans were nice, but I don't wish them happiness in football.
This is a guy who had to go to the San Francisco 49ers fan rally for Sky Sports NFL. Cracking gig. Well done, by the way, because your interviews were fantastic. But you wore DK Metcalf socks. You were in disguise at this 49ers rally. I'm not too sure what I think about that. And Neil Reynolds, if anyone was watching Sky Sports NFL, just prior to the kickoff last week, did call you Luke Pelder. So that is going to be your name from now on.
See, I don't think he did. I watched it. I got a text from Tom just before the interview or after the interview went out, and he goes, "Oh, Neil called you Luke Pelder." I was like, "Oh no, Neil, what are you doing?" I don't think he did. Luke Elder is a hard name to say, in that we got E followed by E, and you
Okay.
need to get it right. It's just that it was a bit. We'll clip this. We'll put it on socials, and I'll get the interview that's on my TV, and we'll see how we go, and we'll try and get Neil Reynolds to reply and just clarify if he thinks I'm called Luke Elder. But I don't think he did. Back to Houston, Minnesota. I almost put up a really weird bet in this.
Go on.
I was going to put up Tank Dell over on the rushing yards.
Well, I don't mind that after last week. They actually used him more on the ground than they did through the air, to my demise with my over receiving yards bet.
What's the line?
10.5.
It was 1.5.
Oh, really?
Now it's 3.5.
That's quite low.
It
That is
is,
quite low.
but Minnesota also did prevent Debo Samuel from running. I think Debo got -10, so I went against Tank Dell in that regard. But I am going for George Pickens in the Pittsburgh LA Chargers game. I think it could be a bit of a tactical affair, but George Pickens is wide receiver one by a long way in Pittsburgh. His line is currently at 44.5. I like the overs on that. He got 7 targets in week 1, only 4 targets last week, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. He was shadowed the entire time by Patrick Surtain, who we know is a lockdown corner. DK Metcalf had an okay game against him for Seattle in week 1, but like I say, it doesn't tell the whole story. George Pickens had a 50-yard play come back because of a penalty. He had an 11-yard touchdown come back because of a penalty. If one of those plays stand up, you feel a lot different about George Pickens in fantasy football going forward. He had 85 yards in week 1. The Chargers, it's hard to weigh them up because they've had 2 games so far. The second game was against the Panthers. You don't learn anything from playing the Panthers because they are absolutely woeful. But in week 1, they allowed 3 receivers to go over 50 yards. That was Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams, and also Brock Bowers. Alexander Mattison, I know he's a running back. He also had 40 yards plus. So I think you can pass on the Chargers. And if you can, that's going to be George Pickens. 44.5 receiving yards. That's not a high line whatsoever. I'll take George Pickens, Tom, to bounce back this week, and over 44.5. I think we're going to cash that.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. You are relatively high on Pickens most weeks, to be fair. But, I don't like this Chargers team. I know they're 2-0, but prior to the season, I said I thought they would struggle this year. And I would quite like them to taste defeat. Otherwise, my prediction has definitely gone Pete Tong.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the pre-season's predictions from Tom. Give me your next play.
I'm going to give you back to back here because these are two. They don't link, but they're two people / teams that I really like this season. First up is Brock Bowers, and I'm going to back him to get an anytime touchdown in the Raiders and Panthers game. 15-8. I thought that was a very fair price. You've already said how Carolina stink this year, and they really, really do. Both sides of the ball has just been horrific. Actually, on defense last week, they made a few big plays, but the offense just stunk the place out. It was horrible to watch. They've now brought in Andy Dalton for Bryce Young. Is that a positive? I don't really know. I don't think Bryce is the issue there. So I think they're still going to really honk this week, and the Raiders should beat them. Now, the Raiders -5.5 is the current point spread. That was close to being my play. I wouldn't be surprised if they won this by 2 scores, to be honest. But just in case Dalton does manage to reinvigorate this team, I thought I'd leave that out because I've seen this before with Andy Dalton, and I don't want to see it again. So I'm going to side with something a little more complex, and that is the Brock Bowers anytime touchdown. Just because I think the price is too good at 15-8. Look, Carolina have been torched in every department, including tight end coverage, which is crucial to Brock Bowers being a tight end. They've allowed opposition tight ends to rack up 11 catches on 15 targets through 2 weeks. Okay, that includes touchdowns for Foster Moreau and Jawan Johnson in week 1 against the Saints, who could have picked and choose who they threw the ball to that day. That number could also be a lot bigger if both of the teams that Carolina have played so far actually continue to pass the ball in the second half, because they were so far ahead that they didn't really need to, and they were just running out the clock. Brock Bowers is one of the brightest young talents in the whole of the game, let alone tight end wise. He already has 17 targets so far throughout 2 games this year. He's a great route runner, big threat in the red zone as well. And I really like him at 15-8 to get a touchdown in the Raiders-Panthers game. And the other one, I'll keep this a lot shorter, but it's a team I love, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. They are 0-2 so far. First week against the Chiefs, they played really well and were unlucky to lose. And then last week against the Raiders, they blew a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, which was just bemusing. Hopefully, they bounce back against the Dallas Cowboys, who just looked terrible on defense against the Saints. Obviously, they're good at pass rushing. That's not the problem. The issue's in the secondary with them and their linebacker coverage as well. And I think the Ravens can really succeed against this Cowboys D, especially if they run the ball with Lamar. Now, in week one, against the Chiefs, Lamar Jackson ran the ball numerous occasions, don't know the exact number off the top of my head, and they had great success on offense. Last week, Jackson ran the ball 5 times and they struggled. You've got to give him the ball, got to let him run the ball, change up the play, then it brings in play action, and you can really create a dynamic offense as a result of that. So I like the Ravens to beat the Cowboys this week. They're 4-5, and that will be the third and last of my selections in the main Sunday slate.
Yeah, I don't mind those. Brock Bowers has looked unbelievably good so far. Probably the best a rookie has ever looked coming into the NFL. No touchdown yet, but surely he gets one very, very soon. I'm going to look in the later games, 9:25 kickoff. This will be my play of the day as well. And we are looking at San Francisco because they take on the LA Rams. LA have looked up and down. They've got plenty of injuries. Yes, on offense with Puka and Cooper Kupp both out, but their offensive line, my goodness, they have got the starters beaten up. They've got the backups beaten up. They've got the backups to the backups beaten up. They've got so many guys that are just out at the moment. Arizona's pass rush is dreadful. It doesn't do anything week in, week out. Last week, they sacked Matt Stafford 5 times. San Francisco are going to eat in this game. The line for San Francisco sacks is 2.5. If San Francisco don't go over 2.5, something's gone on. Then they've blown them out early and they've decided to play the Water Boys to try and sack Matt Stafford. Look, they got 4 sacks in week 2. We know how good the pass rush is from San Francisco. Say the Rams O-line is absolutely dreadful. And if Arizona can sack Matt Stafford 5 times, then San Francisco absolutely can. I think 2.5 sacks. That line is ridiculous. If it was 4.5, I'd probably still be taking this line. It's currently 4-5, but I'll keep it short and sweet, Tom. That's my play of the day. I think San Francisco are going to absolutely bully Matt Stafford.
That's interesting. It's not really a line I ever look at, total sacks in games. How many bets do you reckon this whole season you're going to put up with over or under sacks in a game?
1.
Yeah, I would say this is probably going to be the only one.
I went out and sought this bet. I was looking for the bet. Normally, I'd stay a little bit more away from it, but this bet just lands. If it doesn't, I would be absolutely shocked. But 4-5 over 2.5. I love that. I'm all over that. By the way, I mentioned play of the day. You landed your play of the day last week. Well done on that front.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, and what I was going to say on this podcast was I actually landed both plays of the day because last week, if you go back to the podcast, the running order said I was going to put up a different play of the day, and I switched last minute. They were my only 2 winners of the week, so I should have done the double.
Yeah. Have you got a drink with you?
I do have a drink. Yeah. Why?
You need a victory sip.
Oh, yeah, here we go. It's not a very enticing drink. It's a little bit
It does taste good, though. It does taste good. Play of the day victory sip.
Yeah, phenomenal.
That does taste better, doesn't it? That does taste better.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah, and we landed our joint play last week as well. So, go team. Right, we've got one more to go.
Yeah.
You go, and then I'll finish with a big bang, hopefully.
Sure. Sunday Night Football is my other selection, primetime bet. And it's going to be another tight end, and it's going to be Travis Kelce. This game's between the Chiefs and the Falcons. I like Travis Kelce to have a good game here. Over 4.5 receptions is the current line, and I'm going to take the over there. I think he's going to get 5 or more. Atlanta are 3.5-point underdogs on the spread to the Chiefs. I'd be pretty confident the Chiefs will win this game, to be honest. But, I don't really want to play with that line because it seems a little bit low for what it should be. Mahomes is 13-1 in his career when he plays in domes, stadiums with the dome on top, and obviously Atlanta has that. And although Isaiah Pacheco is going to be out and for a long period of time, they're starting running back, I just think Mahomes is going to dictate this offense once again. He's going to look to different targets, maybe not run the ball as much, and therefore succeed. And if he's going to be looking to different targets and try to make short yardage gains on first and second down, who's he going to go to? Mm-hmm. Travis Kelce. If you look at Travis Kelce so far this year, you can make a clear case for saying that he's on the downgrade in terms of his fantasy stock and in terms of his ability, maybe at his age right now. But he's only had the 7 targets, the 4 catches, and he hasn't been, amazing so far. He's not playing anything like Brock Bowers, for example. But this feels like the game he's going to bounce back. If Taylor Swift's in the crowd, that's just another point for Travis Kelce, seemingly. We'll see her more than we'll see him, that's for sure. But Atlanta's got a zone defense. Travis is just going to find the holes in between the linebackers, between the D line and the linebackers, and he's just going to pick up those short gains. So I don't necessarily love the receiving yards total, just because I do think most of his catches will be between 5 and 10 yards, but I love receptions. I think he's going to get 5 or more, and that's currently available at 10 to 11. Travis Kelce, over 4.5 receptions.
Travis Kelce over 4.5. For Tom, I'm going to finish, as I say, hopefully with a bang. The main play in this part is Jamar Chase on the over receiving yards. Jamar Chase, I think he's going to have a massive week. Now, if you've got Jamar Chase in fantasy, where you drafted him, you're a bit disappointed right now, but it'll be okay. This is the bounce back week. The Bengals, they always start slow. Quiz question for you, Tom. Normally you get this right, so it's a test. Joe Burrow in the NFL so far, he's been in the league for 5 years. What's his record in the first 2 weeks?
Oh, that is a good question. I don't think it's very good because I remember the Bengals struggling a couple of years. I'll go for 3-7.
1-9.
1-9.
1-9. They're 0-2 this year. The Bengals, for whatever reason, they are the slowest starting team known to man, but they do work it out as the season goes along, and I think they're going to do it in this game. Washington are dreadful against the pass. We picked on them last week. I was very keen on Malik Neighbors. He had a massive week and he landed our over there, but they allowed 127 yards to Malik Neighbors last week. In week 1, 83 yards to Chris Godwin, 61 yards to Mike Evans, 289 in total to Tampa, and 4 touchdowns to Baker Mayfield. Cincinnati have to figure this one out this week. Whether T. Higgins plays or not, it doesn't really matter. Even if he does play, I don't think they're going to be using him a massive amount because they want to keep him healthy for the entirety of the year. And also, he might be a slow starter as well. Jamar Chase, like I say, if you've got him, you've been disappointed with him so far in the year. He hasn't been utilised a massive amount, but again, we had the whole contract dispute. He wasn't practicing building up to the season. He only had 6 targets in week 1, but he caught all 6 of them for 62 yards. He had 5 targets last week. We saw how frustrated he was against Kansas City. I think he's going to come out. He's going to play angry. I think he's going to absolutely torch this Washington defense. 79.5 yards is the receiving line. I'm going to take that as a single, but we're going to attack Jamar Chase hard as well. Receptions over 6.5 and a touchdown for Jamar Chase. That as a parlay pays 2.55 to 1. I am a big fan of that. Sit down, watch the Bengals take on the Commanders, and just cheer on the best player on the field. Cheer on Jamar Chase. I think he's going to have a fantastic game. So I'll take Jamar Chase over 79.5 receiving yards, but in the parlay as well alongside that single, we'll do receptions over 6.5 and touchdown as well. Jamar Chase, Tom Collins, welcome back.
Yeah, some would say that you are chasing Chase right now. And to be honest, in my fantasy leagues, I would like him to have a good week. So I fully support your bets.
Yeah, Jamar Chase for myself. I've mentioned my play of the day. That's the 49ers to get over 2.5 sacks. Tom, what's your play of the day?
Shall I mention it alongside doing a recap of all the picks?
Yeah, go on then. Do it. That would be nice. I'd like that.
Okay, cool. So my picks on Sunday in the NFL Week 3 are as follows. Texans, Vikings, over 46 total points. That is the play of the day. It's currently available at 10 to 11. I think it's going to be a shootout. Brock Bowers, anytime touchdown between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Carolina Panthers. That's 15 to 8. Ravens to beat the Cowboys on the money line at 4 to 5. And then in prime time, Travis Kelce, over 4.5 receptions, currently 10 to 11.
My picks this week, George Pickens over 44.5 receiving yards, Jamar Chase over 79.5 receiving yards, and involve it in the parlay with the over reception 6.5 and also a touchdown. And then my play of the day is the San Francisco 49ers to sack Matt Stafford about 1 million times, but as long as it's over 2.5, that is absolutely fine. That's 4 to 5. I think that is an absolute sensational bet, and San Francisco are going to get into the backfield plenty of times. Over 2.5 is a fantastic line. That's my play of the day. Can you tell my voice is going again?
Yeah, I'm not sure
Not
about
happy.
this.
Not happy.
No, get one of them cough sweets down here again.
No, right. So, peek into my life. I've been having honey with my tea recently because honey's like meant to make you feel better. Turns out, just got a massive allergic reaction to honey. Like, literally came back from work last night. I had like hives all over my body. I'm like, what's going on? And like Jasmine,
Yeah.
my partner, took a picture of it. I was like, what is that? So yeah, no more honey for Luke. Who's allergic to honey?
Yeah, that is pretty poor. Not only is it not, fixed your throat, but now you've got another problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be staying well clear of that if I were you.
Yeah, maybe Luke does need to go on IR. I said last week I wasn't going to, but we can't rule that one out. Tom, thank you very much. And we'll see each other on Saturday because if you are a horse racing fan, we've got our podcast on the Penn Derby and the Cotillion to go look at. Go take a little look at that and our Thursday night football preview. But myself and Tom are on Sky Sports Racing on Saturday night. We look forward to having you guys on board with us. But as far as NFL goes, Tom, we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this slate of games. Hopefully, we have a really successful week as well. It seems like we're a little bit more confident with our plays now. You kind of expect that 3 weeks into the season. The first 2 weeks, you don't really know who's going to perform well in terms of teams and players. But now we've got more of an idea, and the lines seem a little bit lenient in places. So I'm pretty confident of a good week here. And best of luck with your selections, and best of luck with everyone else's best bets at home. Please do leave in the comment section what your best bet is. NFL Week 3. We love to read them. You may even tempt us into a play. So please do. It's fantastic for you to interact.
There's a red button down there as well. It says subscribe. If you click it, I just want to see what happens. So click it and tell us what happens. That'll be absolutely fantastic. You'll keep up to date with everything that we do on Turf and Touchdowns podcast. But for this week, that is us done. We will see you guys next week. Until then, have a very good weekend. Be lucky with your bets. Stay safe. Look after other. Goodbye.